Okay, after seeing Captain America Civil War, I have one question. Team Cap, or Team Iron Man? So, guys, this is my spoiler review for Captain America Civil War. Yes, you just saw my Iron Man helmet and my homemade Captain America shield, by the way. But yeah, so this is the spoiler review for the movie, and I'm going to talk about it. Full spoiler warning, flashing there, yeah. Yeah, spoiler warning for the movie. If you haven't seen it, go check out my non-spoiler review and see if you might want to see this movie. If you have seen the movie, you're welcome here to watch. But if you haven't seen it, yes, viewer discretion. So Captain America Civil War takes place after the second Captain America movie, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and it takes place after the events of Avengers 2, Avengers Age of Ultron, and there's a lot going on. In the beginning of this movie, we see a flashback of Bucky, and he's on a mission that will come up later in the movie, and that mission actually turns out to be Bucky Barnes kills Iron Man's parents. They kill Tony Stark's parents. So, like, Hydra made him do that. That's kind of ridiculous. You know, he was brainwashed this whole time. So this movie really is a sequel to The Winter Soldier in that relationship between Bucky and Captain America. And boy, oh boy, is this movie really, really good. I loved how they introduced all the new characters, especially, like I said, Black Panther and Spider-Man. They did a fantastic job with that. And continuing the story with characters like Tony Stark, Captain America, Steve Rogers, and all the other characters, including Scarlet Witch and Vision. They had some great moments together. There's a cool cooking scene where Vision's making food, and it's really funny. And you just see this camaraderie, this relationship between them. At the beginning of the movie, Captain America is fighting Crossbones, a character from the last Captain America movie, and he's fighting him, and he has like a detonator, jacket, so he blows that up, but Scarlet Witch contains it, and she ends up like throwing him up in the air. It blows up like right next to a building, killing a bunch of people, and it's like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And then what eventually happens is Scarlet Witch feels responsible for all this, and Secretary Ross, played by William Hurt, comes in, and he basically lays down the law. It's like, guys, look, the Avengers are great. The world owes the Avengers everything. However, some people think you guys are doing the wrong thing, and that you all need to be contained, because no one is really controlling the Avengers anymore. Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone. And the governments of the world are like, hey, you guys need to be contained. We need to control you. And we all know how that would turn out, terribly. And that's what Captain America thinks. He's like, look, when they have this, what if there's some place that we need to go, but they don't let us? Or they take us someplace that we don't think we need to go. So Captain America wants to have that freedom of choice. He wants to stay free. And Iron Man, Tony Stark, he's like, look, we need to be put into check. People are going to die. People died in New York. People died in Sokovia. People died in Washington, D.C. in the last two Avengers movies and in Winter Soldier. And after that, they're all talking about their differences, and Vision makes this excellent point about how, because there's been an increase in the amount of superheroes in the world, there's also been an increase in the amount of threats and the scale of those threats. So it's like a cause and effect type thing. After that, there's like a UN council meeting and everything where they talk about the Sokovia Accords, and Black Panther is there, Chadwick Boseman, and his father ends up dying in the bomb that ends up blowing up there at the UN meeting. And after that, there's this epic chase sequence, one of the best action sequences in the movie, between Black Panther, the Winter Soldier, Bucky, and Captain America in like a tunnel. And this is the first real scene where you see Black Panther, and he is incredible. They gave this character so many motivations, and it works so well. And eventually these characters all get taken in by War Machine. Actually goes in, stops them, and they all take him in to like the CIA or whatever. And we meet Martin Freeman shows up, as well as Sharon Carter, and we see that our villain Zemo actually comes in, Daniel Bruhl's character. And he comes in, and he is he wants to mess up the Avengers. And this is kind of where I did like the movie as well, and some people didn't, was the villain. I do enjoy the villain. I think he was the thing that pushed all their characters over the edge to actually fighting each other. I think they all were in like civil dispute, but then what he was able to do, frame the Winter Soldier, and to cause the end of the movie, which I'll talk about in a minute, to cause Iron Man to want to fight Bucky and to kill Bucky because he killed his parents, and all that stuff at the end there. It was really just, our villain was not there just to set up everything. He was there to push our characters over the edge. And I think he did a very good job of that. And he wasn't in the movie a whole lot, and I think that was good. It was focused on Captain America, and it was focused on Iron Man. It was focused on our heroes and all their conflicts. And the movie does a very good job of staying focused in those areas. And then after all that, after Captain America, Falcon, and Bucky all leave, they end up escaping this place, and they eventually Scarlett Johansson, I keep forgetting her name, but Black Widow and Tony Stark end up finding, they're like, we need to recruit some people, and they all go and they find these people, and they're like, I got some ideas. And Tony Stark's like, I got one too. And the next shot is you see New York City and it just says Queens, and right there we're getting Spider-Man. And the next scene of the introduction of Peter Parker, the introduction of Aunt May, that whole world just coming in together was fantastic. Tom Holland was great as the character. And just the whole, how Tony Stark thought Aunt May was hot was just funny. And then the whole, when Tom Holland is there as Spider-Man, his Spider-Man costume, he's only been Spider-Man for like 6 months, is what the movie says. And it works. I think it worked very, very well. And it only has been like 6 months or so since they sold the rights and everything. So it's like, okay, that works and everything. I liked how they incorporated him. I liked his costume before he was, before he got the Tony Stark costume. I liked the new costume. And then just all I gotta say is airport scene after that scene there. There's 2 other scenes I'm going to talk about in a second. But the airport scene after that is tremendous with Spider-Man. His dialogue is fantastic. I love the interactions he has with the other characters, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But the 2 scenes after that are, we see a scene where, one, Captain America ends up like stealing like a Volkswagen Bug as like their car, like their getaway car, and it's so funny because you see these 3 like big guys. You see Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, and Steve Rogers are all in this like little car. It's like a clown car, and Falcon and Bucky's interactions are fantastic. And I just love how Bucky's like, can you move your chair up? And he's like, no. And it's just so funny. And then Steve Rogers and Sharon Carter end up having a kiss, and he's like, yeah, it was kind of late. And they're like, yeah, you think? And then he looks over at the 2 of them, and they're just both like, yeah. It was so funny. Got a lot of laughs in the theater. It was a lot of fun. That was a good scene because she was giving them their suits back and their shield and everything. So then they go and we are introduced to Ant-Man, and that scene, which you can find on the internet actually, they released it before the movie, is fantastic. It was funny in the theater. It was funny at the moment because he's like fanboying out over Captain America and the rest of the Avengers. It's some great stuff, and it all leads into the best action sequence I've seen in a long time. Maybe the best action sequence there is in a comic book movie, and it's great. This airport sequence is incredible. You get Ant-Man becomes big. He becomes Giant Man, and it's great. He ends up like grabbing War Machine and just like swinging him around. It's great. And then Spider-Man ends up making a great Empire Strikes Back reference with the walkers. He's like, remember that really old movie? And then he spins him up and everything. All the Spider-Man stuff is great. He acts like a little kid. I just love how you could probably find it somewhere. People have been recording the movie and everything. But there's a scene right after that when Spider-Man gets his shield, Captain America's shield. Ant-Man is on the shield. Ant-Man sizes up and everything, and he's like, your shield, Captain America, and he hands the shield to him. And then he goes, and then everybody realizes, oh no, there's everybody else, and they're all trying to get to the Quinjet, which is across the tarmac and everything. And they're all doing their thing, and they all point out where they're going, and you just see Spider-Man, he's like, oh, Mr. Stark, what should I do? And he goes, and Tony Stark's like, I don't know, just like what we discussed, we'll just web them up and everything. And he's like, got it. And it's some of the best Spider-Man action I've seen in a while, and I think It's some of the best Spider-Man choreography we've seen. He's talking the whole time. It's some great lines and great stuff. There's a whole like Queens Brooklyn thing between him and Captain America. It's great. And then that all leads into the end of the movie where there's a great fight between Tony Stark, Captain America, and the Winter Soldier. And that fight is incredible. And I'm not going to really just get into the whole thing because I'm running out of time here, but they have a fight that is just bare knuckles, blood, and it is seeing Tony Stark's parents die in front of him on like a VHS tape. Just it pushed him over the edge, and you see the emotion in Robert Downey Jr.'s face. It's fantastic stuff, and it was great to see that kind of emotion coming forth and everything, and it was fantastic. You see this epic, just bare knuckles fight, and right when you think, Iron Man's helmet flies off, and you see Captain America raise his shield up, and you're like, oh my god, he's gonna kill him. He puts his hand, Iron Man puts his hands over him, and he just pounds down, and it's right into his arc reactor chest, and he just twists it, and he breaks his arc reactor, kind of rendering his suit useless, and you just see you see both of them just at the end of everything, and you see Captain America stand up, and he helps up the Winter Soldier who lost his arm in the fight due to Iron Man, and you see them just like walk away, and Tony Stark's like, you don't deserve that shield. My father made that shield. Or did I make that shield? Yeah. But you see him there. He's like, my father made that shield. And Captain America just drops the shield. And you just see these characters have gone to such lengths for their cause, for their friends, for what they believe in. And in the end of the movie, we end up seeing just all of our characters are beaten down by what's happened, but at the same time, Steve Rogers breaks all of his friends out of the Raft, which is this underwater prison where you see all these characters. And he breaks them all out, and he's like, and he sends Tony Stark like a phone. He's like, if you ever need me, I'll be there. Because even though these two guys came to blows, they still are friends. They still are brothers, and it's great. And we see in the post-credit scenes, two of them, the Winter Soldier is put back on ice because he's like, the world isn't ready for that, I'm not ready for this, because of everything that's happened with his mind and everything, and it's just some great stuff. And then, now the Avengers, the secret Avengers, Captain America and Ant-Man and all them are off, and they're in Wakanda now. We finally see that, which is really cool. And then in the second post-credit scene, we see Peter Parker and Aunt May, and he's putting ice on his eye and everything, and Tony Stark sent him new web shooters, and he turns it on. There's this glow up on the ceiling, and it's this symbol right here, and it's just and it fades, it goes to black, and it says Spider-Man will return, and you're just like, yes, it's so. Spider-Man was done so well in this movie. He's in 3 scenes if you include that post-credit scene. And it's great. It was a great introduction to the character. Black Panther's introduction was great. And I overall love this movie. There's not a whole lot of downtime in it. And I felt like, I do feel like this is in the top 3, if not one of the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. If not number 1, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know what's quite better than it. Maybe Guardians of the Galaxy or the last Captain America movie. But I'm telling you, it's some great stuff, and I really enjoyed this movie. And guys, thank you for watching this video, hearing me just rant and rave about this film. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. And as always, guys, thank you for watching this. You can subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment below what you thought of the movie, any big spoilers you thought I missed, or things that you just really all, in general liked. I loved a lot of the banter between the characters, and they never took things in the movie. A lot of the humor never took me out of the movie, kind of like it did in Avengers Age of Ultron. In Age of Ultron, it took me out of the movie because it's okay, we have to have a quippy line while we're talking here, and while we're fighting, and we have to have just this quippy line here and here. But the quips worked in this movie without detracting from the story, and I think the Russo brothers did a very good job of balancing in this movie. So that's what I thought about the movie, guys. Thank you for watching, and as always, I am the College Critic, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.